Alrighty, let's get started with Module 5, Lesson 30. And in Module 5, Lesson 30, it's showing you multiple ways to add a mixed number and a fraction. Seems like a pretty simple concept, so let's get started. Alrighty, so when we first look at this, say, okay, we have 2 and 3/8 plus 3/8. This is our mixed number here. Here's our mixed number. And to that, we're adding a fraction. Well, that seems pretty straightforward on the surface because 2 is our whole number and 3 is our fraction. Let's just add the whole number. Well, whole number is 2 plus 0 basically. And the fraction is 3 plus 3 is 6/8. So there's really not a whole lot going on there. I mean, it seems like that's, you just add it together and there you go. Well, but what happens if you have, instead of 2 and 3/8, what happens if you have, let's say we're going to add 2 and 3/8 and 5/8. So let's say instead of that, we have 2 and 3/8, and then we add 5/8 to it. Well, what's happening there? Well, there's what's happening as well. We can sort of demonstrate that quickly on a number line. Let's say we have between 2 and 3, then we can have that a half, quarters, okay, and then eighths. Okay, so let's say we start at 2 and 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We start at 2 and 5/8, and then we to that. So we start at 2 and 5/8, and then we add. I'm sorry. We start at 2 and 3/8. Now let's back it up. Back up the train here. We start at 1, 2, 3. I got a little ahead of myself. 3/8 here. Back that train up, and then we add the 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and lo and behold, look where we end up. We're ending up at 3 wholes, so this is plus 5/8. Well, when you look at the actual problem, well, you could do it several ways. You could say you have 2, okay, and then we add our fraction together plus 8/8. Well, that's going to equal, well, 2 plus 1 equals 3. A long way of just figuring out that when we have 2 and 3/8, we can just look at whenever you have a whole number, 8/8, you just add a whole number. All right, let's go to our next example. All right, in our next example, now we're taking our mixed number and we're going to add a fraction to it, which we don't know, and we're going to end up with a whole number, 5. Well, think about what that means. Well, if we're looking at 4 and 4/5, how much more do we need to go to get to 5 wholes? Well, we're thinking about that. If we're at 4 and 4/5, we need this to equal 5/5. Well, how do I do that? Well, in order to do that, I need to add 1/5. Well, that seems pretty straightforward. Okay, so that's one way to do it. So anytime we have a blank there to equal a whole number, we can just figure that out. Now, let's see about this next one. What if we had 6? I'm going to write this a little different, just see what you can do with this. 6 is equal, well, I'm just writing it backwards, 5 and 1/8. So just think, how much more do I need for 5 and 1/8 to make that 6? That's right, you need 7/8 more. Okay, so we're getting this pretty well. Like I said, this lesson is pretty easy. It just shows you a number of ways to add a fraction onto an already mixed number. The only thing you really have to concern yourself when you're adding a mixed number with a fraction is, am I going to add enough of a fraction to make another whole, in other words, to make one more whole number. So let's go on to the next. Alrighty, so now the next one, we've been only ending up with a whole number. Now, if we look at this next problem, there's a couple ways that we could do this. Let's look at one way to do this would just be to add the fractions together and add the whole number. So we're going to have the whole number, because it's 5 plus 0, and then the fraction is going to be 6 5/4. Okay. Now you can look at 5/4 and go, well, wait a minute. 5/4 is really composed of 4/4 and 1/4. So this 4/4 is equal to 1 whole. So now I can just add this 1 whole to the 5, and we're going to end up with 6 and 1/4. Okay? Well, that's one way to do it. And you say, well, how is there more ways than that to do it? Well, there is another way. Well, let's keep our same number here, our same problem, and I'm going to show you a different way down here. There's a different color, show you a different way. So I could write this again as 5 2/4, okay, plus 3/4. But this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make this a whole number and then add that together. Well, okay, what am I talking about? Well, let's change this up. But this time, instead of splitting it into, we didn't add the fraction yet. We haven't done that part yet. We're still with our original problem. So I'm going to break this apart first. Well, what are you going to do? Well, I want to make this, split it into a part that's going to make this a whole number. So 2 and 2 is 4, but then I have 1 left over here. See that? Ooh, look at that. So now if I add this 2, and this, now that gives me 6. This has already been decomposed down into 2/4 and 1/4. So all I have left is the 1/4. Oops, we gotta make that a fourth. Okay, and so that's another way to do it. So again, there's different ways to do this, and then there's one last way. Let's just back up the train a little bit, and we'll solve it. Alrighty, one more way. All right, let's try this one more way. Well, we're going to start with our 5. Oops, can't really see that. Let's get a little darker color, or lighter color, I should say, so you can see it. We're going to start off with our 5 2/4, and then to that we're going to add a certain amount to get me up to 6 wholes. Well, what do you mean a certain amount? Well, I have 3/4 here. I know I'm supposed to add 3/4, but 3/4 will be too much. So if I just add the 2/4, that gets me to 6, but hold the phone or train or whatever. You made this, you only have added 2/4. You're supposed to add 3/4. So you need to add 1 more fourth. Okay, and now you end up with 6 and 1/4. Now, I don't know if this is the official name, but we'll call this the arrow way. And there I go. There you go. Quick and easy lesson on how to add a mixed number to a fraction. I hope that helps. Nothing left to do but get to your problem set, where all will be revealed. Well, hopefully. Anyway, catch you next time, folks. Same time, same place. Hasta la vista, baby. Get to your problem set.